There is a silence that happens when you're a child and you realize you don't have the right currency. In the economy of a small government primary school, the currency is marks or looks or a certain kind of easy confidence. And I was bankrupt. I was the skinny, attention seeking kid. But that's a cruel level, isn't it? It implies something selfish. What they really called attention seeking was just connection seeking. It was a desperate, fumbling attempt of a small boy screaming into the void and saying, "Hello, I'm here. Does anyone see me?" My mission was simple: become something worth seeing. So I became a copycat. I studied the smart kids, not just for answers, but for their mannerisms, how they laughed, how they held their bags. I thought if I could just assemble the pieces correctly, I could build a version of myself that was finally valid. But it was like building a castle on sand, and the tide was this constant whispering feeling: "You're not good enough." Every aid they got, every word of praise they received, was another wave. I was always in top 10, but never in the top 3. And that gap, that small infinite gap, felt like the distance between being seen and being invisible. Amid all that noise, I found a quiet weapon, a pencil. When I drew, the world didn't just go quiet, it made sense. The chaos in my mind had a shape, it had lines, it had a path. Drawing wasn't a hobby, it was a sanctuary. And then, the announcement, a school wide drawing competition. The prize was a mug, a simple white mug. I didn't know that then. All I knew was there is a trophy. The trophy was going to be my receipt, my confirmation that I existed. I still remember the drawing: a city, a future, something structured and clean and whole. Everything I didn't feel. I practiced for days. I didn't dream of a mug, I dreamed of validation. And in my mind, it was made of gold. Competition day. The auditorium is loud, but all I hear is the beat of my own heart. I start drawing. I was in the zone. The city was taking shape. It was perfect. But I was in class 3. I had never done this before. I didn't know about the strategy, about time, and then the call. Pencils down. My city was unfinished. The buildings were sketched, but the sky was empty. The world had no color. It was a metaphor that I was too young to understand. They called the winners. First, a smart kid. Second, another smart kid. I held my breath. Maybe, just maybe, they'd see the potential. They'd see the soul in my lines. Third place went to a boy sitting next to me. A boy who had borrowed my colors. And they handed him a mug. That's when I saw it. The trophy I had been waiting for was just a mug. I didn't cry there. I was too numb. The applause for them felt like a physical pressure. I packed my own stuff, my unfinished drawings, my borrowed colors, as if the universe wanted to sign its name on the day I walked into the rain. and realized I had lost my umbrella. I went home and finally cried. I cried for the drawing, for the position, for the umbrella. And then I did the only thing I knew how to do to make the pain stop. I turned to cartoons. I escaped into a world where stories had clear endings and heroes always won. That little boy is still here. He is still holding that unfinished drawing. I carried him through the rest of the primary school. And that feeling never really left. It just learned new ways to hide. This is where my story began, chasing a mug that felt like a crown. This is the ghost in my machine. And what happened when I left the small government primary school and entered the brutal world of a high school? Well, that's a story for the next time.